Episode 2, something in the water.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I kind of learned from the last conversation that how I think I want the podcast to go. How about you? Have you learned? Have you felt like you? I feel like I always want to text you and talk about things, but you said you kind of want to save it for the podcast, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we still text throughout the
Yeah.
week. But yeah, what was your when you said that you realized what you want it to be more of?
Yeah. I realized like I always do a lot of like just thought processes in my own head, and I might just text certain people about them.
Yeah.
And I realized like I kind of want this to be that type of session.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah. So, what's been up with you?
Eclipse. I just
Yeah.
added him. So at the recording studio, I just brought a shark on.
Yeah.
You know,
Eclipse. DJ Eclipse.
Eclipse and Kaz were like this. So
Yeah.
he was working out of Kaz's studio at the last spot, and
Yeah.
then I feel like it's only right to add him.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been supportive. He's always showed love. I've always gotten along really good with him, Kaz, you. So he was liking and engaging with a lot of the process of like getting a new studio. Here's what the walls look like. We're painting. We're this, and he was just like, bro, I want to be there. And I was like, I want you to be here. So I seen. I talked to someone. I think it was yesterday, but they said something. Then I said it to my wife, and she was like, oh, that's a viral meme going around. It was like collaboration happens at the top, competition happens at the bottom. And so I thought that was a gem.
Yeah.
And I'm going around the house saying it. And it was just
Yeah.
like, oh, you seen that on Facebook? I was like, no, that was up here.
Yeah.
She's like, no, I've seen that all over Facebook. And but I think that's true as hell.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's, collaborating, bringing people on.
Yeah.
Kaz's best friend, E.
Yep.
He reached out to me and was, he's a really good person too. He was complimenting on a lot of like traits or the progress or like work ethic or blah, 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 man. And he was like, that's, me and Kaz, we talked about you a lot.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, I like you. I want to, I'm not selfish. So I was like, with this studio, kind of what I text you too, like any ideas that you have that would incorporate the studio, like feel free, please. Like let's all use this to like level up and get creative, make money, do things, create like a platform. And even like with our podcast right here, maybe eventually we move it over there once we have a set or something like that, or we have like, the podcast that we're talking into. I'm not trying to ramble on, but like that's another cool thing that I'm happy with that we just started. Like right now we're doing it with these. And we're doing it right here. Like no tripod. This camera is sitting on chairs in my wallet right now to hold it up.
It's sitting on some restaurant chairs.
But then to just know that like shit, it might be episode 20, it might be episode 200, but then not now we got the Shure SM7Bs and
I was thinking that too when cause earlier when you said you forgot your tripod. I remember last time I forgot my tripod. So I was just like, man, I was like, it's funny how like we're trying to do this podcast. We're two creative people and we both do this as work. And we wouldn't forget a tripod anywhere else, but it's like we want to get this one thing done, but we're so busy that we're damn near like we're forgetting things now. But it's cool because it's like we're creative enough and know how to problem solve enough to be like, oh, set it on some chairs. We're straight.
And it's getting done. Where earlier when you text me about so this whole episode is gonna be one camera.
Yep.
What we could have done would have been like, oh no, you don't have a camera today. We'll just hold off and wait till next week. It was like, no. The audience, they're gonna be fine with this episode being one angle. But what's been up with you this last week?
Yeah, so since the last episode, I just did a lot of filming. So we have a festival coming up called Health and Wellness Weekend, 517 Health and Wellness Weekend. It's gonna be in Logan Square. So there's just like a lot of people. Health and wellness is a lot of things. It could be a mindset. It could be fitness. It could be just goals or learning how to do new things, either business or just a different lifestyle. So we have all these people that are part of it that we've been filming. So we went to like different businesses. We have some athletes like we've been filming, and I've just been doing a lot of editing, just trying to make sure. Yeah, we actually did an announcement today that health and wellness weekend is a thing, and so we just did the grand announcement. So
when is the date for it?
it is August 17th through the 19th.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And the 17th is a Thursday. Is it Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that 17th?
I think so.
Yeah.
I want to say Friday, August 18th is a Friday. It is a Friday. Yeah.
Okay.
Speed Gang has a show on that day.
Oh, really?
In Lansing, yeah.
Oh, that's what's up. Where
at? The Junction.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
I had never been there, but Speed Gang wanted to like see the venue, so we went up there and checked it out on Thursday. It was cool.
Yeah. What did it used to be?
I guess back in the day,
Like a country.
With the Whiskey Barrel.
Whiskey Barrel.
But
Yeah.
before that, it was Sparty's. And
Okay.
when it was Sparty's, that's when I learned how to twerk.
Oh, for
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
You remember twerking days?
No.
No?
No.
Yeah.
I remember jerking. I used to jerk.
I did jerk. I jerked a little bit. What's funny is now that I have a kid, like jerking was a cool thing. It was like a trend maybe 6 months ago, 9 months ago, or something like that. And so I was the dad that was like, let me show you how to do it. And I was like jerking.
funny.
She was like, how do you know how to jerk?
I do this.
Jerking was cool 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing that I feel like, I think I'll text you about it, but one thing I was kind of learning over just this week too is kind of learning like what's important to you, and whatever is important to you, you can kind of see it within your own lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So like for me, for a while, like health was important to me. And so like I'm always at the gym, I'm working out, but then it's almost like a priority list. So health might be number one for me. And then it's like making money might be second, or my family is third. Let's just say that. So let's say my health is really good, but then just business-wise, I feel like I'm not doing a great job. And you can kind of see it within your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so they say like, you have to kind of create this balance, but at the same time, you also have to always, whatever your priority is, like don't be ashamed of doing that for the time being, because you could always change your list. Too,
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I seen this guy that I look up to, Alex Hermosi. He refers to like the time frame as a season a lot, and so I kind of like stole that, and that's what I've been saying is like, this season that I'm in right now, I don't have time to do this, and this. This season I'm focused on like getting that studio, and so like what you were saying, whatever your priority is at this time, like you could just refer to it as this season.
Yeah, this season.
The season
That's
that I'm in right now,
yeah.
all I'm focused on is this, and this.
Yeah.
That's like my main priorities this season. It's not like a permanent thing. And I think by saying the word season, people are used to like seasons. Like, oh, it's winter season.
Yeah,
Then no, it's not a permanent. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to change. It's not going to last. It might be 2 months, 3 months.
That actually just made me feel better too, because I'm thinking like, dang, I always got to switch up my list. But if seasons.
Season, yeah. So it's kind of like the season we're going in right now. I'm happy that this is a part of the season, because there's a lot of shit that me and you are both going to be doing. Mm-hmm. And so this is like the whole documenting part of it, and learning and sharing. What other, when you text me, that was you were watching TED Talks?
Yeah.
What's some of like your favorite TED Talks that you've ever watched?
I actually I don't watch a lot of TED Talks. I watch, man, you know who I watch? I think his name is Andrew Huberman.
Yeah, I watched a lot of his
stuff.
I
love his stuff, man. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I feel like I listen to a lot of audiobooks too, and I even like re-listen to the same audiobooks. So like, if I need motivation, like I was introduced to like a book called Think and Grow Rich. Yeah. Yeah. So like when I was like 15, I was introduced to that book, but I reread that book like every year, like at least 3 times, or I audio book it, and just like little things that keep my mind like wondering or kind of like racing in a way where it's like improvement is what matters most. Because I feel like a lot of times like the way we consume like just media, or just the way we consume like social media, stuff like that, just videos, random shit, like if random stuff's just playing in the background and there's no like use or information from it, I just feel like I'm wasting my time too.
I do too.
So I feel like that helps me, and then watching those or listening to those in the background along the way help me think of other stuff. So that's what I do.
Yeah, have you ever heard the term like turn your car into like a mobile university?
Nah.
Yeah, I think his name is Brian Tracy.
Yeah.
He had said that, where it's like, he had the facts down, where it's like the average person drives this many hours a week, which is this many hours a year, where if instead of just listening to music or random dumb stuff in the background that's not like helping you, if instead you were listening to like audiobooks or things like that, it was saying like in 1 year you would get equivalent to like I don't even want to say a specific thing, but he had it down to where it was like, the average person, they say they don't have time, but the average person, they spend this many hours a year in the car.
Yeah.
So if instead of just listening to the radio, you were listening to programs or courses or blah, 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 you would have equivalent to this much of a college degree. I was like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. I didn't even think about it like that.
So that's when I go heavy with listening to stuff in the car. And usually.
For sure. Yeah. And then I feel like another thing for me is like, I don't know, I feel like I've been trying to, so like for me, I always want health to be an important thing in my life, just because like I know I've always kind of been, well, at least some people will say, you know, like to each his own, but I feel like me, I always know sometimes I can lean more on the unhealthier side, or I know I've had unhealthy habits. So like I always want to make that a priority, but I feel like sometimes when I don't, or when, you know, when I'm worried about more money or something like that, I know it's like, you know, my money might be up, but I'm a little bit chunky, you know what I'm saying? Or like, so I've just been trying to figure that out too. And I feel like listening to podcasts and stuff like that always reminds me to do better as well with that. So
I posted on my story at the gym, it was either yesterday or the day before, that like where I'm at right now this season or what I got going on and my priorities, I give zero fucks about like being at the gym or going to the gym, to where I even feel guilty, like
for being at the gym.
Yeah, like I haven't worked out today, and for me to think about all the stuff that I'd be happy if I accomplished today, and for me to think about like throw in an hour and a half of like going to the gym and showering and stuff, it's like, dude, I think that'll throw off the rest of the day. Yeah, but I like to just get it over with in the morning.
Me too,
And so that's where, like, my friend Mike, he just got out of prison after 3 years, and so he fell in love with like working out and lifting weights there. And he's only been out for 11 days now, and he's been blowing me up like, let's go to the gym, man. And he was like, no pussy stuff, man. I need 2.5 hours. I was like, bro, you don't understand what I got going on in my life right now. I don't have 2.5 hours.
I can't give
like,
up these 2.5 hours.
I'm gonna give you 40 to 50 minutes. I gotta get there and get back. Like I have so much of like my day like allocated to other things already. So I still want to do it. I still want to get it in, because then if I said screw the gym and I was just focused on working, then our body and our mind, we're gonna start feeling.
And then your mind is gonna feel shitty, or you know. I definitely feel like too. That's another thing. I've just kind of been trying to learn how to not feel bad for not being able to go to the gym, because I feel like me, I like wigged out. I have 3. Let's see. Yeah, so altogether I had 3 gym memberships. I had one of them I'm paying for a personal fitness trainer, $180 a month. I have a boxing gym membership, which is $80 a month, and then I have Planet Fitness, which is $20 a month. And I feel like I only really use 2. Planet Fitness has been charging me for a while now, and I don't go there, so I need to go cancel that. But
you get the $10 or the $20? 20? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I feel like I had to cancel the personal trainer one, because it's just, I realized like where it's at, it's like 30 minutes from here, or like 25, and it's just like from time to get there to work out and then to drive back to take a shower and then figure out what I have to do next. It's just like, that's 2 hours damn near right there.
Is it 2 hours? Yeah.
And then so I feel like the 2 hours it took to do that, I could probably just like have a regimen at home and work out. I have a little home section where I work out at too. So just, I got to learn how to stay more dedicated to it if I want to do that type of routine. So.
Yeah, with today being Sunday also, I think what I want to start doing is kind of having just like a reflection, like take a step back and really think about what is the priority for like this week. Because I noticed with myself, I get super, super overwhelmed when, so like even leading up to starting this podcast, when we would reach out like, what's up with the podcast? When you want to start it, it might have been a day where I'm just like, what? And starting the podcast and doing this, like I already got so much stuff going on. I'm so overwhelmed and whatever, and it's like my brain shuts down. And Malik, a friend of mine, he would help when he would come over, and I would tell him like, all right, so I have this course that I want to do, this thing, the studio, this, and I would list out like basically brain dump. And I think where I'm going with this is like a helpful thing and something that I'm gonna start doing. So like basically the brain dump helps you get all the stuff that's on your mind So if you visualize like your computer and you know how you open tabs, so basically the brain dump is helping like close all the tabs.
Yeah.
So right now you might have like 286 fucking
Tabs
tabs
open,
open, and so it's gonna slow down and bog down your system.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to me. And what we would do is basically throw everything out there. So it'd be like this course, that course, YouTube, this, and then it would be, okay, what did he do? He it was called something, but it's like you make a T, where it's like top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, and all the top left was important and urgent things that have to get done. So like out of all that list of brain dump, you would put stuff there. Then it was like the bottom right was not important, not urgent. So it might be, whatever, something that where you're just like, yeah, that's not a right now thing. That's right, I'll put that there.
Yeah.
And then you have things that, were either important but not urgent, or urgent but not important, or something like that. And then we would do that, and what would happen, what would help me is I feel like I would gain clarity on my life, but then I would run into Malik maybe like 8 days later, 10 days later, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, and be like, you good? You still good? And I'd be like, no, man, it's chaos again. And I realized that, and I felt bad, like I thought something was wrong with me. Like most people, they can organize their life, and then I was just assuming most people can organize their life and they're set and they're good for months or years or whatever. And I just realized with myself in particular, and probably a lot of other people too, if you just take it like a week at a time, and so if once a week you do that, because we would do it, I'd feel, and then I would be productive a good 3-4, but then on day 4, this new opportunity came up, and then now that's on the open tab, and then this thing would pop back up, and someone would ask me a question about a thing that I thought wasn't important, but then now it's 5 more people, and so now it's like raising in importance and stuff, and so then come like a week, it's like all my priorities have already changed because life happened. So I think one thing that I want to make sure that I start doing is like every Sunday, I think, it don't matter what day it is, but just like a certain day every week, really kind of sit down and be like, okay, say Something in the Water podcast, our space, music, job, working out, fitness, whatever, relationships, family. You kind of list out everything, and then you're like, all right, let me plan out my week. Okay, I know on Wednesday I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I can see the whole week, and I see that there's 8 hours that I'm putting towards our space, and then I noticed that I don't have music at all on my schedule this week. You know what? I need to go to the studio, or I'm gonna work on music. I can do it Saturday, boom. And then so now you got it there, and you're like, you have all these things that make you happy, and you're like putting them on the board or on the calendar, and then now like I'd be happy if this week happens because all the things that are important to me, I stepped back and thought about it, put them all out there. And that's what I'm excited to do today.
No, I feel like I've been kind of trying to do that too. I think what's important too that I've been learning is like saying no to people.
Yeah. They say rich people say no. Like no is the 98% of the time. Really? Just assume the answer is no. Unless it's a super, super sexy special situation, then it would be yes. But other than that, it's just no.
No, for sure. Yeah. Because I feel like I realized, like, you're probably like this too, because I feel like, you're an engineer, like, you do videos, you know how to do, you know how to produce, you know how to do a lot of stuff. So I'm sure a lot of people call you. And I feel like I'm kind of similar where people know, like, oh, if I need to get content, if I need to learn how to do this, like Martin knows, or like, you know what I'm saying? So I realized throughout the week, I'll have my, my planned week, but then I feel like I've always been this person that just helps no matter what. So I realized, like, I don't have that much time anymore. So, like, throughout the week, people will hit me up and be like, oh, can you come help me with this video shoot in the next hour? And I'm like, yeah. And whatever I'm doing, I'll drop it. And I won't fix that thing, or I won't come back to it. I'll just move on to the next thing and put that back on my, like, next week's list. And I realize, like, now more than ever, like, I don't have time to do that because the specific things that I'm trying to do or that I'm currently working on, like, affect my future, where it's like I'm the only one that can work on these and move myself forward, if that makes sense. So
start saying no more.
Yeah, I've been saying no. I've really been saying no, and I feel bad for it. But full transparency with people, especially people I care about, I just let them know, like, this is all the things I have got going on, And if I don't do them, nobody else will. So I have to make sure.
I got to get better at that because I think one of my pet peeves is I hate explaining myself.
Yeah.
But I'm a over-explainer.
Yeah.
And I think also like teaching and doing content, I'm kind of programming my brain to validate whatever I'm saying. So it's not just like, hey, I'm busy. Or no, thank you. Sounds good. I appreciate it, but I'm not available. Because I know that most people, they're not going to understand it or grasp it. They're going to take it a certain way.
Yeah.
So then sometimes I would in the past be like, bro, I got this going on, this blah, blah. And once I do it, then I get worked up afterwards. And I'm thinking like, why the hell did I just explain myself to them? And I don't know. I've seen somewhere that's like, not everyone deserves an explanation.
Yeah. And that's why I said, like full transparency with people I care about.
Care about, yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like anybody else that's like not in arm's length of me that I don't talk to on a daily basis, I probably won't tell you all the stuff I got going on. But people I care about, it's just like, hey, I do want to help you. Because most of the time I do want to help people I care about. Yeah, for sure. But it's like I can't right now because of this. But I would if circumstances were different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing it right now with certain people that let's get together and chop it up sometime or something like that. It's like, I'd recommend that you start a podcast and then we hang out and now we're doing an episode on your podcast, but I don't want to just get together and chop it up or, most of the time it's like we have to weigh out the pros and cons.
Yeah.
Which it sounds like annoying, but if a dude texts you right now and he was like, yo, what are you doing later? You want to come through at this time? You have to actually stop and think about like, what am I already supposed to do? Is this new opportunity? Is it an opportunity or is it a distraction?
Yeah. And
majority of the time it's a distraction.
Yeah, I have certain people too. This one dude, matter of fact, he swears like he's like whatever we can do to kind of work together to do something. I don't know what it is, but and he's like let's catch, let's get a drink sometime. Let's catch dinner. Let's go do something. Go golfing. And it's like I realized like if you want to work with me, just let me know you want to work with me and let me know what you want to work on. Like I barely know you. Don't even really know you. You've never met you in person. I know you're a cool guy, but it's like at a certain point, it's like it has to be up to you. And then if I can get the job done, it has to be almost like you're reaching out to me to help you with something rather than let's come up with this thing together. Cause it's like, I can't do that for everybody.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started rereading How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Okay.
I think it's Dale Carnegie. But the chapter that I was reading yesterday was saying that in 2 months, if you can gain more friends in 2 months of being genuinely curious in other people's, genuinely interested in other people versus 2 to 20 years. That's a big wide range, but it was like 2 years to 20 years of trying to make people genuinely interested in you and like your interest. I don't know, that was just a random little fun fact.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I thought about it, and one thing me and my wife talk about a lot is my mom told a story about when I was like a baby. And when you tell a kid no, I'd say, why? Because I said so. Why? I would always question things, and I was curious, and I think that's where, I don't know, maybe like podcasts, networking, communicating, talking to people, meeting people, because I'm genuinely interested, and that's a trait that I see that you have too. Like when you're doing the 11-track podcast, you were good as fuck as a host.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Because whether you were genuinely interested in people or not, you sold it as in like, yo, this dude he's fully engaged in asking good questions. That's like, you're just genuinely interested in other people.
No, appreciate it. Yeah. One thing I want to ask too, I just kind of noticed just with everything that's been going on lately, do you feel like it's a difference with yourself? I kind of know because we've had conversations about it, but I feel like with this new studio, do you kind of feel more welcoming to other people or to new people in the sense of like more open? Because I feel like our lives kind of changed after our friend Kaz passed away, but I feel like in a sense it's almost like the openness of yourself. I feel like you kind of opened up a lot more.
I did, yeah.
So I just want to know about that, or that, where you went in your mind to kind of change that after.
I think I probably had like an ego problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was just, I think I learned it from reading books.
Yeah.
And then it's like, this is what all the successful people do. You want to be successful, you
Yeah.
want to be rich, here's how to do it. It's like, and then me having the self-awareness to actually look at myself and be like, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't have that trait right now.
Mm-hmm.
I need to start practicing that. And one of the things was, even with customers, I feel like I started taking customers for granted.
Yeah.
Because kind of my progression was, I might have had like one customer when I first started, it was like 18. And then that one customer had a 3 or 4 or 5 different friends come do songs on his album.
Yeah.
So it's like I basically produced the album for one artist, and then that artist had a handful of friends featured on his artist. So now I met them, they came to my studio, and now those 5 artists wanted to do albums. So now I had like 5 customers, and then each of them, they had random people come be featured on it. So then I had like 25 customers. Then it was like 50, and then it's kind of like every year it progressed to where it was like so smooth that it wasn't a lot of effort. It was just kind of, I don't know, I was just giving my attention to customers, but I feel like it had gotten to a point to where I wasn't looking at customers like people. I was more so looking at them as numbers, where it was, all right, we had 300 customers, how do we get to 400? How do we get to 500?
Yeah.
Versus being like super present in the moment. And I think that like financially the last couple of years were humbling for me, to where like when you're so low on money and then you have a dude say book a session or book a video, and then I learned this also through books, where it was saying, imagine if the future of your business was dependent on one customer, how would you have to change the way you do business to guarantee that you're going to stay in business and not go out of business based on how you do business with like them and treat them. So that changed everything. Because another example was with the online CD duplication business that my wife runs. When I had her take over the emails, my instructions to her was basically be a robot. Like, all of your responses, don't be Alyssa, be $1 chat bot, exactly.
How
like,
can I help you?
Hello, how can we service you? Question mark. Anytime they respond with things, like, remove any personality or whatever, just be black and white, bland, gray rock, very boring. Then read books, learned that's not how you do it. You need to treat them like people. And then the more like, hey, it's not $1. This is Alyssa. I'm talking to you as a friend.
Yeah.
So I was like, if they have a complaint about an order, be like, oh no, that's not good. So here's how we do it, blah, blah, blah. Like, give them a whole explanation, where in the past it'd be, sorry for the inconvenience, we will blah, blah, blah.
We'll fix it.
Yeah, fix it, So I think that was a thing. And then also I had realized the importance of, one, trusting people. And basically my vision and mission has like grown to get bigger, to where I realized that like I need a lot of people, not just like 2 or 3 people to help me do this. I need like a village of people to help me do this mission that I have. And then I realized how many people it would help. And then, because at one point, I think with entrepreneurship, at one point, if someone books you to do a video, you may be the one to sit down and talk to them. So you're doing like sales to close them. Sweet. They say yes. You work out your payment stuff. You schedule the date. Now you're also the dude that shows up and shoots it. After you shoot it, now you're the dude that edits it. And then now you got to turn into like social media marketing, and you make some content or clips out of that or whatever.
And those are all supposed to be different people.
Yeah. It's breaking it down and giving each thing like a different role.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I was going with that. With the studio, having more people on it.
You need more people with Texas.
Yeah, just I need more people, and it's trying to align people's, like a Venn diagram where it's like, hey, what does Martin want? This is what Martin wants. All right, here's what Crack wants. Where do they overlap?
Yeah. Sweet.
Let's focus on this, man. Yeah. You're able to get what you want. I'm able to get what I want, and this overlaps in them. This this helps us work together. It makes your life better. It makes my life better. It makes other people's life better.
Yeah.
And it's doing that. What I was gonna say, entrepreneur shit is, in the beginning, you may be proud on like, no one can talk to the customer like I do.
Yeah.
No one can shoot it the way I do it. No one can edit it the way I do it. So now you got to do everything then.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, if you're not happy with your life, or you feel like you're too busy, or you're too booked, like, bro, you got to let go. And where I'm at now is, yeah, there was a point where I felt like anyone that books the studio, like, it's got to be me. No one's going to talk to the people like me. But now I'm thinking I could be a really good leader and encourage and teach. So the stuff that I've learned over, say, 20 years, I can consolidate, compress it, whatever, and then give it to someone in like a 30-minute meeting at the studio.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'll spend the 10 hours reading How to Win Friends and Influence People for the third time, and I'll take notes, and then I'm gonna teach you guys the notes that I learned. Like, you don't have to spend the 10 hours reading the book. I'm gonna give you the 15-minute summary of it. And it helps them become better people and better people to work with, and it makes people enjoy the process of working with them at the studio. And then I win, and then they win, and then the customers are happy, they come back. And it's like this whole big like a flywheel thing where like, picture the recycling, where it's like an arrow, and then an arrow, then an arrow, and then it's just like everyone.
It's like the atmosphere.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
What else? I feel like, I think I noticed a lot of change with you recently, and I feel like it's much appreciated too, because I think just before, because I feel like me and you, our friendship, we always been friends, but I feel like just with a lot of my friends, like, I never asked too much, or I never want to get in the way, and I realized, like, just speaking with you recently, I feel like just even offering, like, oh yeah, however you want to use my space, like, whatever you can figure out, let me know. And it's just like, I noticed, like, back then, I feel like the old Cracka might have wouldn't have said that. You know what I'm saying?
If you want to use it for 1 minute, you got to pay for 1 minute. If you want to use.
Yep, exactly. And it's not even necessarily that, like, and it would be your right to say that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I just noticed, like, recently it's more about the actual person, or just being rather more genuine, or showing that you care about other people. I've been noticing. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's just changing my time, like my timeline on things, where I think a lot of people, they focus on like right now. So it might be like, oh, you want to use the space right now. Like, if I'm not focused on the future, it's okay, I need 50 an hour. That's what benefits me right now. Versus if I maybe say, well, if I let him use it for free, and he goes and he has a good experience, and then he knows that I do these different things, that builds our relationship. But then that could lead to someone asking you something that leads, and you plugged into me, and I just made $2,000, and you know, so that's a big thing. That was a lesson I learned with like music videos, where I drew this out because when I was talking to one of the guys at the studio about, we can set your hourly rate to whatever you want. We're gonna do a percentage split. So basically, it doesn't matter if they're paying 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever. You can set your rate to whatever you want it to be, and you'll always get your percentage. And then I drew this diagram where I was trying to teach him what I learned. And so I said, for example, let's say I would have bumped my rate up to like $150 an hour at the studio. And I drew a really small circle. And I said, I know for a fact that people will still book me at $150 an hour, but just picture a really small circle. And I said, it's a small amount of people. So I might only do 2 hours a week. So it's like cool for my ego to know, hey man, I'm worth $150 an hour. That's great to know. But I'm only doing 2 hours a week. So I'm getting $300 a week. Now I said, now imagine if I come down and I'm at like $80 an hour, and I drew like a bigger circle. And I said, now maybe instead of only being booked 2 hours a week, I can be booked like 10 hours a week, and I'm at this price range. And at the end of the week, I have way more money. I'm working with more people. I'm happier. And then I drew like a huge circle. And I was like, now I feel like this is that $50 to $60 range where basically anyone that's a music artist on this planet understands that 40, 50, 60 bucks an hour, they're in there. And so I can be booked 100 hours a week if I want, or whatever at that. So you have to just weigh out all of that with like supply and demand. And then what I was telling them is like lifetime value, I think is like huge. So like lifetime value of a customer versus a one-time transaction. So a one-time transaction. The most I've ever been paid for a music video, like handed to me, was $5,000. I've only been paid that one time. Now, it's cool to know that someone out there would pay me $5,000, but what's my lifetime value of that customer? It's only $5,000 because they only did one video.
Yeah.
They kind of spent all their money and then that was it. Versus maybe if I was at $1,000, I get one artist and he can afford 5 videos a year, but every single year. So it's still like $5,000 lifetime from one dude, he's done and over with. Or $5,000 every single year from this guy, and we're gonna be working together for like 5 years. So now I got $25,000 lifetime from working with this guy versus $5,000 from this guy. And so that was something that I did. Just basically bigger picture, and that's something that I'm teaching the guys at the studio too. Is it's cool and all to make a lot of money an hour and do 2 hours with a guy, but if this is all he can afford like a year, you're not going to be consistent, you know? So like make a little bit less an hour, but get it to where this dude can come every week or every other week or at bare minimum, at least every month.
Yeah.
And you want to get people to keep coming back to you. And so then it's that lifetime value. And I learned that from like doing Facebook ads to where, like, let's say I was selling something that was $100 and I had to spend $100 to acquire the customer. Most people would be like, oh, that's stupid because like,
it costs you that much.
It cost you, you didn't make no money, but it's like, but if there's lifetime value, maybe I can spend maybe I can spend $200 up front and I'm selling him this $100 thing, but it's a thing that he comes back every month for. It's kind of like, I'm losing up front, short-term vision. People, it's like, oh man, you took an L, bro. It's like, no, look, 6 months, 12 months from now, we're profitable now.
He bought more courses, spent more on beats, spent more on music, music videos.
Yeah, and so that happens. And so, just taking care of people, being nice to people, extending the timeline of like delaying gratification. That's like the fancy term for it, which is similar to like working out. Yeah. Because you understand, I understand. All right, right after this, let's go work out. Yeah. We're going to look exactly like this after.
Oh, for sure. Hell yeah.
Yeah. But you give us a year, we're going to look different. Yeah. And also, if we don't work out after this, we're going to look exactly the same tomorrow. But give us a year of that, we're going to look like some slobs.
Yeah, I know. Shoot, it's been like, I worked out last Wednesday. But I'm like, man, before Wednesday, I got to work out again. Yeah. But I know, like, I can't be too hard on myself because I'm also doing a lot of things. And I know, like you said, tomorrow I'll look exactly the same. And, when I start working out, that's when I start changing things. So it's all good.
Yeah. But do you think, if you had to say your one thing that you're focused on this coming week?
This coming week, I feel like I'm focused on our space. We have our space. Not only does we don't only just produce events, so now we're kind of like a service-based company as well, where we help with people's marketing and like just the introduction of their business. So I feel like we've gotten some contracts that they're coming up where I'm just prioritizing what's next or how we're figuring those out. So it feels pretty good. Yeah.
How do you feel about having guests on here?
It'd be cool.
Is that like a future thing or not now? Yeah. Because I was about to say when you were talking about our space, like it'd be cool for me to meet. Is it Mikey?
Yeah, Mikey. Yeah.
I haven't met him yet, but he seems like a like-minded, creative.
He is a great person. Dude. Shout out to Mikey. We talk every single day, and we're constantly trying to build. And I think he's very similar to you. I think I like guests. I'll be down for guests. Yeah. We'd have to figure it out.
Yeah. Because it could just be to where, like, it's not even a permanent. In the past, I would overthink it and be like, wait, okay, so are we doing an episode of us and then a guest episode? And I would try to think of
next guest and stuff.
That stuff. It's like, no, bro, it could just be, I want to meet Mikey. I'm going to meet Mikey with you. Let's just schedule it on a Sunday and we'll turn it into a podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
That way, because I would have fresh ears and I'd be asking him questions genuinely interested and curious to know. And then other people can find value, and then I'm sure he would maybe ask me questions, genuinely interested, and
yeah, I think we know a lot of cool people like that too, where almost like we don't like even I think about like you and Young Heat.
Yeah.
Like you guys spend a lot of time with each other, and I feel like Young Heat is somebody I always want to ask questions about beats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to even just do stuff like that, where introduce people that we know, that maybe we don't. Maybe you might know more than me, or I might know more than you, and then we kind of just learn and ask fresh ears and stuff like that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone would benefit from that too.
Yeah.
Was this a wrap for the
Yeah,
second
I'm
podcast?
down. Is it a wrap?
Yeah. Hey guys. Please subscribe so that way you're notified for future ones of these. If you're listening to this on like Spotify or iTunes, do us a favor. Please leave a rating.
Yeah.
5-star rating. Screenshot that you're listening to it, watching it.
Tag us.
Tag us on social media.
Yeah. I'm at Desko Martin.
At Cracka_lack.
Yeah.
And we'll check you guys out next
a wrap.
episode.
Yeah.